This is Spotlight Omaha. Spotlight Omaha is a local podcast that highlights local businesses and influential movers and shakers in the Omaha business community. Spotlight Omaha is brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. Now, from the Pyramid Contractor Studios, the host of Spotlight Omaha, Jimmy Allen.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome inside the Spotlight Omaha podcast, where we take you around the city of Omaha, introduce you to local business owners, influential figures, and people who are making an impact on our community. We are brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. Pixel Fire Marketing is a locally owned marketing firm that specializes in website design, creating social media ads, and engaging your brand online. If your business could benefit from any of that, check out pixelfiremarketing.com today. Joining me inside the Pyramid Contractor Studio is my good friend, Randall Crutcher, from Day Springs Bank at First State Insurance. Appreciate you being here, man.
Yes, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, hey, listen, we're going to do a lot of things that you do in the Omaha area because you give back in a lot of big ways too. But I want to talk about the insurance side of the things. And when I first met you and I found out you did insurance, I was like, oh man, I don't know if that could fit anybody better because you're always looking to help people out. Can you talk about what you do at First State Insurance?
Yeah, no problem. So what I do is I'm an insurance broker, so I try to make sure that I am available to help people to be able to protect their assets. I basically focus on property and casualty insurance. So I look to help with auto insurance, homeowners insurance. If you're starting in small businesses, I like to do commercial insurance for those. I have people that run their own little, like a good friend Ed St. Fleur used to play for me. He drives a truck. So people that are doing hauling right now with Amazon being the big thing they're looking at, they sometimes go outside and get, people that run their own little trucking company. They like to use them. So I make sure that they're insured. Also just looking at, I work closely with a friend of mine too that his name is Lon Bowling, and he does, like, if you're looking at like life insurance and financial insurance stuff, he's one of the guys that I actually use for that. But my focus is basically on property and casualty insurance. Make sure, if all those that have children that are starting to get those cars, and you get those quotes.
I'm not looking forward to that.
Oh yeah, it's fun. Yeah, I got 2 drivers in my house now, so. But yeah, I just try to make sure that you're getting the most that you can, make sure that you are covered, and then I am also price aware, price conscious for you. So I try to shop for you.
The Lyft, Uber, Amazon aspect of it is something that's still relatively new to the shared driving world, etc. How do you guys in the industry kind of navigate somebody who is a 1099 for Uber or Lyft or Amazon, and how does that kind of affect the pricing?
Well, that it affects the pricing pretty much. That would be considered commercial insurance, which I do. Some people, when you're trying to get auto insurance, like we'll just use Progressive as an example. You'll say, hey, I want to do auto insurance. And I'll have to ask that question when, I'm insuring this car. Do you use it for Uber? Do you use it to deliver food? And if you say yes, then I have to stop that process from a personal standpoint of personal insurance, and I have to go to commercial auto insurance because they don't have enough. They will increase the rates dramatically or just turn you down if you're trying to do it on a personal basis. So then it comes to the questions of, how many days a week do you do it? How many miles do you think that you're doing on this? And it comes in there, and it can be a little bit costly on there, but you want to make sure that you let your insurance company know that you're doing that, because if you get into an accident while doing it, being an Uber driver, and then you drive and you only have personal insurance, and then they find out that you were being an Uber driver at that time, then they won't cover your claim.
From a percentage standpoint, how much usually does it go up if somebody is doing that?
It actually goes up pretty significantly. I would say you probably get about a 30% increase of what you would be paying on, if you're just doing regular insurance, just doing regular personal insurance, because you just think about it. If you're on a personal level, you're more doing it. You're getting back and forth from work. You're doing errands. You're not driving as much, but you're adding a ton of miles and a ton of liability into when you're driving, like especially if you're driving other people.
I was saying because you have another passenger.
Right.
Yeah.
If it's food wise, it's a little bit different. It will be a little.
Wow,
bit.
That is a difference. Okay,
it'll be a little bit different. It'll be a little bit less. But when you're dealing with other people, you got to start thinking about who are they going to look at? They're going to look at suing, if they get hurt, they're going to look at suing Uber.
Yeah.
And then Uber's going to turn around and be like,
you had insurance, right?
did you have insurance? Well, then that's your baby to deal with.
Yeah.
And it gets into there. And anytime you're dealing with other people, then the insurance normally will go up. But yeah, if you're a delivery driver for Amazon on a personal basis, every once in a while they'll send out those things.
I didn't even know it was a thing till like 3 days ago. Somebody showed up at my house. They were driving their SUV.
Yeah,
and I was like, "Can I help you?"
Getting extra drivers and stuff. And it's kind of a little messed up. I like that you're able to do that, but when the Amazon workers go on strike, then Amazon has a workaround.
Get somebody,
But no, it's just it is something that you have to be aware of, and sometimes you don't do that. We'll look at it this way. Back when I was younger, if I wanted to make a little bit extra money, I just go deliver pizzas.
Right.
Deliver pizzas. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And it was good. You wouldn't have to disclose that back then because pizza company would hire you as a driver. Well, now they're not doing that. They're just saying, hey, we're shipping it out. So now you have to have insurance for those things because they're not putting it under the company's insurance. We're like, nope, that's we use Uber Eats or or DoorDash.
We're seeing such a rise in insurance rates for several different reasons. Whether more people are out on the road, everything we just kind of alluded to with ride shares and things of that nature. How do you navigate premiums are at an all-time high. We've seen the most severe weather we've ever seen. The housing market has been hot and cold and on fire in an igloo. And navigate, we have to keep the price range at an affordable rate for the people that we're trying to supply the insurance to. How do you do that?
It is a dance that I had to learn. It's a little difficult. Jimmy knows me. I used to run car dealerships and stuff, help out with the Baxter Group. It does help out a lot. What it does is it's different when it comes to insurance. Like when I was running the dealership, you have your used cars, you have your new cars, and we can kind of buy the product by figuring out how much we think that car is worth, how much we have to put in service, and we can come up with a price. So it is kind of our baby. It's a little bit different with insurance. I have no control of that. It's basically what the company.
You already got the car when you walked in.
So So first, the first part is relaying that to people that I'm not picking on you. Yeah. This is not a discriminatory thing. This is basically we get all your information, put it in there, and then the rates get shot out. Now, what helps me is that, and I've learned this when I got out of car business. At first, I was just doing insurance for Allstate, and then it's just I have one spot, and if they're high, I just have to try to sell through it and go through and basically bang my head against the door because I can't really do it. Yeah. So becoming more of a broker and being able to work with different companies is nice because it also builds trust in the customer that, okay, let's see, I did 3 quotes for you, one for Battle Creek Insurance, one for Progressive, and one for Nationwide. And when you look at them, all of them are pretty high.
Yeah.
You can choose the one that's the lowest out of it. I try to make sure that it's apples to apples, but when you sit there and you can present them with 3 or 4 different options, and then they see, okay, yeah, my insurance they're with State Farm, my insurance for State Farm did go up. I tell people sometimes I like to do this to either get you as a client, which is what my main goal is, but it can also help give you comfort in that, okay, you know what, your insurance provider isn't taking advantage of you. And they are taking care of you. This is what the options are. Now you deal with some of those smaller places where they're like, hey, we can do your insurance. You'll see them on the ad. Oh, we can do your insurance for $20 a month and stuff. There's a lot of things that miss there.
Yeah.
Because like
the absolute bare minimum coverage.
Right, bare minimum coverage. I don't like doing coverage that isn't going to cover everything. You got your child and you want to keep it low, and people are saying, hey, well, let's do a 25-50 coverage. That's $25,000. Total coverage, and then $50,000 that'll be doled out at the maximum to your person that you've injured. Okay, makes sense. Well, person has a $40,000, $50,000 SUV that you total, the Suburban.
That's where the rest of that
there's their 50 goes. Now all of a sudden there's medical involved and other things, and they said that the total that they will pay out, the max that they'll pay out that one person on this thing is 50. Well, you've already hit that. Now you're coming out of pocket. Right. So that's why I say I don't like to give you coverage where you think you're covered, especially when it comes to younger kids. Sometimes
They're
you
always
can
going to hit somebody or something.
Sometimes you can take it. Sometimes as grown-ups, and grown-ups make bad decisions, but they learn to live with some of those bad decisions. I don't sugarcoat it. I basically tell you, hey, this is where you're exposed.
Yeah.
But if you want to roll the dice, because by law you have to have insurance, we can go a certain route. We can do that.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have you sign a disclosure form saying this, so then it's not coming back on me like, oh, I didn't know.
He told me I was covered. Yeah.
Right, and stuff like that. But I make sure that I do, when I first present to you anything, I present to you all the coverage that is available to you that I can see, and I'll tell you this is what you're covered from, and there's no blind spots. And then if you say, hey, well, we're trying to find a lower cost, can I take some of this off? I said you can, but you're exposed here. Anything that we take off, you have to sign a disclosure. But like I said, I'm being upfront with you, and I'm not hiding anything, and that's what I try to be.
We're catching up with Randall Crutcher from Day Springs Bank and First State Insurance here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing inside the Pyramid Contractor Studio. It's first of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Big party time last night. Some people make bad decisions on New Year's Eve, get behind the wheel of a car after having a drink or two. Somebody comes in, they're looking for SR22 insurance. How does that conversation go, and how do you handle that situation?
That conversation is tough because I have a lot of providers that don't do that won't do it. And I do have 2 providers that I use that will cover SR22s. SR22s are expensive.
They are.
As they should be, and you understand that when you go in there. It's mind-boggling to me that people are still risking that, Now, look, I'm about to be 50, so my brain
seasoned veteran.
Yeah, seasoned veteran. I'm a little bit more mature, and I've seen enough. So, but I've been trying to instill in my girls. I'm like, it's $20 for an Uber driver.
It's $10,000 for DUI.
My oldest daughter goes to college in UNO, and my phone will, if my phone rings with her on it, I answer it 100% of the time, no matter what time.
Yeah.
If she needs a ride, let's just go do that. But if you're out of town and stuff, you have Uber, you have friends. It makes no sense to risk that.
Anymore.
Like I said, and we're talking money. Young people think it's money thing. Oh man, I don't want to spend money.
Somebody.
I said, you don't want the burden of, you don't want the guilt of having that you took somebody out because you made a bad decision on there. We laugh, Jimmy. I say I'm 6'8", I'm about 260. And I said, I'm a big
all
guy.
muscle.
Yeah, all muscle, all muscle. That's right. But my old man used to tell me, he said, the last thing you want to do is go make a bad decision while you're drunk. He says, at least when you're as strong as I am, if I get into a fight, I can pull punches. I'm not killing someone.
Sure.
You don't want to be in a drunken stupor and wake up in jail after being blackout drunk and be like, well, you're on trial for killing someone because you lost control. I try
you
to
don't
tell
even remember
people,
what happened.
Right. I tell people, please make sure that you're being responsible.
Well, and SR22 insurance sometimes is for lack of insurance for an accident and things like that too.
Right.
And that's is that why it's so expensive? Because it's a mitigated risk from the insurance company side versus
It's
somebody that
risk.
doesn't have that track record of making bad decisions.
Correct. It's a high risk. Like I said, when you think about insurance is the thing where the company is getting everybody buying into it, and what they're rating your it's almost like credit. They're rating your decision making skills from there, and if
have
you
a low rating,
right, and if you have a low rating, then you're considered a high risk.
This is like if it was like Madden but real life, like your rating for making good decisions is 54.
And this is the reason why some providers don't provide that. People get mad, oh, they don't do it. I said, well, what they're doing is they're protecting those good decisions. Yeah, there's themselves and those good decision people. Like I said, Jimmy, you make great decisions and you're paying insurance, and then all of a sudden, if the company that you're insuring with says, "Hey, we're taking SR22s in now rates are going to go up higher because there's a lot more risk." Well, I've been a perfect driver forever. Right. Why does it affect me? So you have to think about that's why they have these decisions. Most of the companies that take it that are doing SR22s are those that insure young drivers. They keep them pretty low. They're like, we'll take the young drivers right now without any driving experience. And so those people get in there. But then all of a sudden, when those drivers get 3 years of experience and they're great drivers, then the rates for them at other companies are going to be a lot lower than the rates that would be for these young drivers. Right? So that's what you're dealing with. So,
if somebody out there is looking at buying a car today, what's the piece of advice you give to somebody that before they buy a car, why should they contact their insurance agent, and what questions should they be asking?
Because you want to think about all the costs that go into it. we have to be cost conscious. Like I said, my first time I was looking at buying a car, I go out there, hey man, yeah, I can afford $300 a month.
Yeah.
I'm a 21-year-old kid. I'm gonna go get
just went up
this.
$200 a month.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I got $300 a month. I'm good. And then I got to put gas in it. Okay, so yeah, it's gonna cost me around $400 a month to go ahead and operate this vehicle. And then I go check insurance, and then it's another $250 a month. Hold on a second, so
I cannot afford this vehicle anymore.
Hold on a second. Do I really want this fast driving car? Do I need something a little bit, better on insurance, better for everything? You want to know the whole cost. Maybe I don't buy the new car. Maybe I get the used car.
A 94 Pinto is looking really good.
Right on, right on. Maybe I get a car that I can pay outright cash as an older car, and then I just go liability only, protect me from hurting people. But then it's a car that if it's broke, if it dies on me or I get in an accident, then I just go find me another one and I'm covered on insurance instead of having full coverage where I'm paying everything to try to get the, you get a $30,000 car.
Yeah.
$30,000, you want to make sure that the car is back upright if you get in an accident, and you want to have your liability expense. Well, if you're starting off and your money is very tight, then it might be better to get you just a cheaper car that you can just put liability on until you can get everything right and your rates down.
I need you to take your insurance salesman hat off. I need you to take your car salesman hat off. I need you to take some truth serum.
Okay.
Gap insurance, is it worth it or not?
Gap insurance is worth it. It depends on the vehicle that you have.
Okay. I've gotten conflicting answers from multiple people.
Well,
That's why
it's
I'm asking.
interesting. I go this. I'm going to with me playing both sides of the fence,
Sure.
I'm going to tell you, to me, the smartest thing to do if you're price conscious is, I always tell people, leasing is probably the better way to go if you're buying a new car. And then if you
decide if you want to buy it afterwards.
Right, because you get options instead of obligations. And the one thing that I've liked with Chrysler and with Chevy products is that they have gap insurance already included in there. And here's an example. And this shows how old I am. I'm out there and I'm selling cars, and a guy got an S10 from me, Chevy S10. You young people probably don't know what that is, but it was the smaller truck. It was what the Colorado replaced.
Right.
I had a gentleman come in, and he had a vehicle he was trading in. He was carrying $3,000 of negative equity. And that is basically his car was worth. He owed $3,000 more than what his car was worth. So we rolled that.
That's called being upside down.
Upside down. So he rolls that $3,000. He gets this lease and he rolls $3,000 into his thing, which affected his payment on this lease. And this lease has gap insurance built into it. No problem. I had to tell him, hey, 3-year lease, let's get you out of it. 2 months later, he totals the car, totals it out. So he comes in and he tells me that, and I'm like, oh man, that's bad there. But then what happens is that $3,000 of negative equity that was part of that gap insurance, that whole car got paid off. Gap insurance is in there, car was over. He comes in there with zero negative equity, gets the exact same vehicle
for a much lower price.
And his payments were about $120 cheaper than when he came in. And so he was basically saying, wow, gap insurance saved me. Think about this. I tell people having that gap insurance is nice on you because, if you total the car, you're done with it. There's nothing that they're coming to get you after the fact. Whereas if you take a 6-year loan out on a car and you total this vehicle and they say, okay, hey, you put this many miles on it, your car is worth $10,000, but I owe 14. Your car is worth $10,000.
You're still paying that, yeah.
Okay, so now, do you want to write us a check for this $4,000, or do you want to roll it over into something that gap insurance helps protect it? So it does. To me, I think it plays a big role. But then also, you have to see how you're buying the car. Now, gap insurance. If you have a vehicle that you have paid off and you trade in on a vehicle, and that vehicle puts $6,000 or $7,000 down, or you put $6,000 or $7,000 down, and you buy this car and you look at if the car is holding value, you could probably get away with not having gap insurance on it because you're probably not going to be upside down in that vehicle as long as you're making payments. But there is a good reason to have gap insurance there. I always tell people, if you put more than 20% down on your car without negative equity, then you probably don't need it. Yeah.
We're catching up with Randall Crutcher of Day Springs Bank and First State Insurance here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing inside the Pyramid Contractors studio. Do you deal with home insurance at all? No, right?
Oh yeah,
you do.
Yeah,
okay, so how when we talk about, I think when we talk about insurance, we see it as an umbrella. No pun intended there. How much does the auto insurance side of it be affected by what we're seeing for the homeowner side, because we're seeing the state of California, state of Florida, stop writing new insurance claims because of the severe weather that they're seeing.
Right.
Is it same? Is it apples to apples, or is it kind of two different worlds that live in the same house?
The car insurance thing is a different animal because of the fact that it is by law you have to have it. So you'll always be able to. They won't stop writing auto insurance. All right. They'll raise rates to try to keep you from buying from them if they're trying to slow business down. That's it. Homeowners insurance is a different animal. And I'm not going to say the provider, but there's a provider that I use that sent us a memo that, hey, we're not taking on new business for homeowners right now, so look at other spots, because of the severeness of weather. Nebraska is more wind and hail, and then you start fixing all that. Now, if you keep having continuous wind and hail storms,
tornado here or there.
Right. You got to understand what insurance is everybody is pulling their money in together to cash out when there's a problem. The longer we can go without problems, the bigger that pot gets, and it's a great thing. Well, then that also happens is if there's a lot of storms and there's a storm and 20 houses make claims, they pull from that pot. And then we get that all squared up, and then 3 weeks later, another storm comes, 20 more houses, pulls from that pot. And then another storm comes,
got to fill the pot back up.
Right. And so you think about it, you make those claims. If those are big claims and stuff, that brings the pot out there. And this is why some insurance companies will say, hey, if you do 2 big claims in a year, then we're going to get rid of you and you got to find insurance elsewhere. Some companies have that.
Dry.
Right. The pot is run dry and stuff. So, like I said, everything is a business. Like, insurance is to help you, but you got to also understand that insurance is also a business. Nobody's running all this and going through all the stress of people yelling at them to not make money.
Yeah.
So,
I want to talk about you, Creighton basketball legend.
Right on, I'll take it.
in your own mind.
In my own mind.
You're from Chicago. You moved here to play hoops. You've made Omaha home.
Yeah.
You're a father. You're a coach. How do you sell insurance, mentor young men, coach basketball, raise 2 daughters, find time to do it all? Hang out with me.
I have ridiculous energy.
Sure.
That's one thing.
Be a husband too.
I am. My wife and me. She always laughs. She's an introvert and I'm an extrovert. I actually get my energy.
Are you?
Yeah,
No.
I get my energy from conversations and community.
Sure.
So that so you say the things, coach. Yes, I'm a coach. I like mentoring young men. Big time into Creighton, and I find the time because my business, if you notice, is mostly networking. I learned that when I was in the car business, is mostly networking. And networking,
most successful businesses are.
Right. And networking actually energizes me. I'm big on social media, and it's just how I think it's just my makeup because it's my extrovert there. When I'm not communicating with people, then I start to lose energy and I get down. Where my wife is an introvert and she
exact opposite.
It is exact opposite. Basically, we help each other. I push her a little bit further. And
she reins you in.
She reins me in and stuff. So we work that way. She gets her energy from the quiet conversations from the people that are really important to her and being able to recharge her battery. And me, I like listening to people's experiences and things. Like I said, you could talk to me about things that I don't do, like people hunt. I'm from Chicago. I didn't do any hunting, but my friend
had a guy in here on Monday. I've never hunted a day in my life. I was hanging on every word. I'm with you.
Right. But I got like my guy Adam Reed, who used to be a teammate with me at Creighton. The funny story about Adam Reed is hunting season come, he break up with his girlfriend. He'll tell me 2 weeks before, I got to break up with my girl because I'm going to be hunting. Just listening to his stories about hunting, and I have no interest in hunting, were amazing to me because he's so energetic about it. And then it's like, I want to learn more just because this guy is so into it. So that's kind of what motivates me. And that's how I'm able to do this. I like to listen, and even when people have problems, I try to be a problem solver, but I try to be an empathetic ear also, because sometimes people just need someone to go ahead and listen to them. And that's kind of how I run my business. And you don't see any billboards. I don't advertise. I'm all word of mouth and all conversations. And I just get out there and talk to people, let them know what I do. And then they just start talking to me. And then somehow we make it work.
End up helping each other.
That's right.
We've had 10,000 conversations. And I don't think I've ever asked you this. Why is it such a big deal for you to be able to mentor young men?
You know what? 100% my old man. Now, my old man just passed away about 6 months ago. So it's still fresh in my brain. But my old man came from Memphis, and he was big into the sports community, and he always was my coach. He was always there for me. And what I watched him do was, when he saw kids that wanted to do sports and they didn't have the means or they didn't have help, he was always the one. Let's get them rides. Let's do this. Let's do this. And I've seen how that impacted a lot of my friends, and it got them further in life. And he used to always tell me, the more you know, the more you owe. He says, if you go out and you learn things, you have to give back. He says, we are vessels here for a short period of time, and what people judge are the community. What people think of you in the community is your legacy. It's not the money, it's not all that thing. So you have to give back and help people out. And I think about those things, like people that were big in my life besides my dad. James Mitchum, who was the assistant coach at Romeoville High School where I was playing basketball, stayed on me. 6'9", he used to play basketball. I think he was at DePaul at one point. And at that point, he was a god to me, and he stayed on me, and I was more worried about disappointing him and my father. And those things stayed with me when I went to Creighton, got me through Creighton when I played professional ball. And I keep saying, I'm the man that I am, and I'm able to help out people because those guys were so active in my life. And so I said, if I can find a way to be that for other people and help them be successful in life, not because I gave them money, but because I showed them a role model, I showed them a work ethic, and I showed them that actually someone cared for them. Like you say, if you love them hard, you can coach them harder. To me, that is winning in my book. And I've seen it happen. I've coached a couple guys that are doing things, people, just small people in the community. Like I give a shout out to a young man named Courtney Grisby. It's crazy for me to call him young man. I actually helped coach him a little bit in AU basketball with my friend Ed St. Fleur. And I watch him with him and his wife. And now I'm watching his kids, and I'm seeing how he is looked at in the community as a role model.
He's been like that since he was 14,
right.
though. I mean, he carried a maturity with him that a lot of us looked up to.
Right.
He was
and you say things like that.
Way too young. You looked up to at that level.
He had great parents that were involved in him. And then I like to say that Ed and me, we showed him a little bit of work ethic when it comes to basketball and stuff like that. Carl White, he's another gentleman, went to UIC. Guys that we've touched, and then you see them doing your things.
List the whole 05 Central roster.
Now look, Joe Roth from West Side, and then Zach Vanderslaw from Papillion South. Zach Vanderslaw was a kid that I saw at the YMCA. He just moved out here. He's 6'6".
Yeah, he used to play at the U-turn.
Yeah, and I'm like, hey man, you need to try basketball. And now he's got the record at Papillion South for blocks in the season 2 years in a row, and he got to play ball. But those little things, and not saying that is because of you, but to know that you had a little bit of help when they were struggling or they needed a little bit of mentorship, and then when they see you, they look at you in a highlight. You say, that's what you want. You want these people. It's a community. You want everyone to kind of chip in, help, and these people to be successful. And if I can do that, then to me that's a high, and I feel that my time on this earth is well spent. So that's what motivates me.
What's your favorite part about being a dad?
My daughters are awesome. They made my life easy because they work hard and they take care of the business. So I want to say that their mom and me had a lot to do with that. But watching them right now do the things, both of my daughters are sophomores. One's a sophomore in college at UNO, and one's a sophomore at high school. Both of them on the honor roll. Every time I go around,
they got their smarts from their mom. Huh?
Yeah, thank God. I said every time I see people that have come in contact with them, they have nothing but high praise about my daughters, which is nice. My daughters laugh because they say they can't do anything because everybody knows you, Dad. I go into a store on North Side at Walgreens, and they're like, you're Randall Crutcher's daughter, aren't you? Or then I go over to Gretna, hey, you're Randall Crutcher's daughter. So I said, yeah, I told her I got spies everywhere.
That's right.
But they walk around with the pride because those people aren't saying bad things about their dad and stuff. And then I get the same pride when people tell me about them. My daughters are doing this, and we love your daughters. And I'm like, I love that. So I get the joy of seeing them become their own people and being able to do things the right way.
Who's your ideal client, and how can they get a hold of you?
Ideal client would be, what I tell you, well, ones that aren't drunk driving. How about that?
Yeah.
But no, I really like to get the.
I know a good lawyer if you do. If you are one of those people, get a hold of me.
Right on. I say my ideal client. I like families. because to me they make stronger decisions and they want to do the right thing. I'm not big into the what we call the shopper person, where it's like, all right, let me get insurance to get my car started. All right, I give you insurance, and then 2 months later you stop paying insurance because, hey, I got this car that's getting me by, and then all of a sudden if I get in trouble, hey, I need insurance again. I'm not looking for those. I'm actually looking for people that are trying to be responsible and are trying to build their lives. Those are the people that I'm looking for, and they'll be around like-minded people like that. So, I go freshly married couples, young couples are great, or I even take elderly couples that now they're looking and they're trying to figure out something new with their life. They might be trying to start a business now because they've made some money. I like those people to try to help them get started. So yeah, like I said, but good decision makers. How about that? Good decision makers.
How do people get a hold of you?
Okay, they getting hold of me. I can give you. I'll give you my number. My number to get in touch with me for business is 402-516-5507. I said if I don't answer, then text and I call right back. Yeah, it goes right to me and stuff. And then you can always stop at Dayspring Bank over there on 72nd Street. It's right on the border. It's right on the border of Omaha and Ralston. Yeah. Right by the Dairy Queen. Right by my favorite spot, the Gyro King Kong.
Can't miss it. Look for the gorillas up front.
You go in there, and if I'm not in the office, you just let them know, and then they'll get in touch with me.
On Christmas, by the way. King Kong. I was like, there's not a parking spot anywhere over there.
That place is also packed on Wednesdays when it's steak day.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
But yeah, you stop in the bank and talk to any of the people there if I'm not there, and they'll get you in touch with me, and they'll let me know to get in touch with you and stuff. But yeah,
the greatest Creighton Blue Jay of all time is,
in my eyes, my teammate is Rodney Buford because he played with me. But
gotcha. All right.
Yeah, but he's my close friend, and he's one of my favorite players. But close second is my man Kyle Corver, because I'm going to always side with the guys that I was in the trenches with and that I had help with. But that kid Doug McDermott's a bad boy too.
All right,
so.
That's Randall Crutcher's top three. That's my good buddy Randall Crutcher. If you missed this show, check it out on our replay on YouTube. Check us out at The Spotlight Omaha. Brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing inside the Pyramid Contractors Studio. We're to keep the theme going with Jimmy's friends that he's hosted radio shows with. Alex Drake's in with us talking the mortgage rates with us tomorrow here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast. We'll see you tomorrow at 11.
All right.